Okay, recording now.
Okay, so yeah, just a big welcome to Julie for joining us at the Gr8 support movement that Paradigm runs. Julie, you're here today to talk to us about your fab website, which is about emotional well-being for people with more profound and severe learning disabilities. So how we tend to do it is we tend to chat for about 20 minutes or so. And then Julie's got some tips for us at the end of that, and you're welcome to ask any questions, but do ask questions as we go along. So we want it to be really informal. So Julie, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and who you are and why you set up the website?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hi everybody. It's really nice to see you. I was just speaking to Sally and Joe earlier and saying how much I'm just so looking forward to kind of talking to people and getting feedback from people, because I've spent the last, however long it is, 8 months now putting together this resource, and I've been able to speak to some people, but now it's out there. I really want to get a feel for how it's working for people and what we can do to continue the work and improve what we're doing and so on. So I'm really happy to see you all and hope we can continue some conversations after today as well.
I just might butt in, sorry Joe and Julie's, just maybe just people go around, just say who they are and where they are, but the countries, give you a flavour of where people are, Julie, and then you carry on.
Lovely, yeah, that would be fab.
Okay?
Yeah,
so,
please do.
Joe, do you want to read around the screen and just ask people to introduce themselves?
Yeah, Karen, do you want to say who you are and what you do and where you are?
Yeah, my name's Karen. I'm down in Bognor Regis, down in West Sussex. I am a support worker for Aldingbourne Trust.
Thank you. Liz?
Hi, I'm Liz. I'm from Skipton in North Yorkshire, and I'm a PA for a gentleman, that I work with.
Lovely. Welcome, welcome. Vanessa? Are you unmuting yourself? Yeah.
Yes, I am. I dropped my phone.
Oh.
I'm Vanessa. I'm from Barnoldswick, and I support. I'm a PA, and I work with Liz and Katie.
Great. Welcome, welcome. Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'm in Hove, and I'm the director at a charity called Stay Up Late.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's a great charity. Great charity.
Yeah, fabulous.
Victoria.
Well, me. Everybody loves me.
But
today it's about our amazing, great support. I'm Victoria. I am supported by Aldingbourne Trust as well. I am employed by Stay Up Late, but I help run the project called Gig Buddies.
Great. Great project. Okay, who's next? Nicholas.
Hello, I'm Nick. I'm in Skipton also, and I'm a PA. I work with the rest of the gang from the Skipton area.
Lovely, lovely to see you. And Katie.
These Yorkshire folk, they get everywhere, don't they? It's good to see everyone. So yeah, quite a number of us work together here. We work mostly with Gareth, as I was explaining to Julie the other day, but we do also work with other people and have lots of contact in our voluntary organisation as well. So lots of contact with lots of different people.
Thank you. And I'm Jo, and I'm in Brighton now, not in Lewis anymore.
Brighton. Yeah. And I'm Sally, and I work for Paradigm, and I am based in London. And in terms of technical tips, you're all used to Zoom, I think now. Our life has been on Zoom and Teams for the last 8-9 months. But it's a small group, so as Joe said, do just chip in if you want to ask questions. If you've got background noise, it would be good if you can mute yourself. Top tip as well, if you didn't know this, a self-advocate told me the other day, if you are muted on Zoom, and you want to speak, you can hold your bar down, your space bar down, and it temporarily it lets you speak. Then you let go of it and it mutes you again. Top tip, okay? So you can press the space bar. Honestly, I was so excited by that. So, okay, but there's your top tip for the day, but you can stay unmuted if you haven't got a mad dog in the background like me or something. And Julie, back to you. So thank you. Back to Julie, who you are and why did you develop this amazing website?
Sure. Well, I think one of the things that lockdown has done for me is give me the opportunity to do this. But the idea has been brewing for some years now, actually. And I think what really prompted me to go, right, we're going to do this, is because I'd been reading a lot of neuroscience. I mean, not the original research papers, but stuff that people had written about neuroscience. Let me be clear on that. And I was just really excited to read that there is so much evidence now to show that things we can do that can seem quite simple, quite everyday things that involve the body and the senses and relationships can really have a profound positive impact on our mental well-being. And that got me to thinking a lot about, well, a lot of the therapies that are typically out there and traditionally out there for mental health do rely on the spoken word. They rely on language, like cognitive behaviour therapy and psychotherapy, which makes it very difficult for people with severe and profound learning disabilities to access those. But now we know there's all these things that we can do that don't necessarily have to involve language, can have those positive impacts. That seemed like just an amazing opportunity, actually, for us to do more to support this population with their mental wellness. My background is as a learning disability nurse, and I did my PhD in learning disabilities as well. And I think that everything that I've ever done has always kind of led me back to areas of mental health and mental well-being. Quality of life for me is what it's all about. So I think this project has brought together a whole range of experiences that I've had in my life, both professionally through my education, but also personally. I mean, I'm very much keen on what I preach is what I do, and that's been really helpful over lockdown, because there's been days where I've thought, right, Julie, you're telling people that yoga is a really good thing to do, but have you done that for a while? So that's been a good prompt for me to actually do, to live this myself. So there's nothing that I put everything that I put out there, I truly believe in, and I think I apply it to myself as well. So that's brief background really. What else do you want me to share? Ask me questions or chip in.
Anyone got any questions? Go on, Victoria.
As a mental health nurse, I just want to say you do an amazing job.
Thank you. But I will correct you, because otherwise my colleagues will be very cross with me. I'm a learning disability nurse, which I don't think I said that at the beginning, so thank you for prompting that. Yeah, my degree was in learning disability nursing, and the reason I chose that was because it's the only profession that's specific to learning disabilities. Every other profession you train generically, and then you can specialise in learning disabilities. But I was really keen from quite a young age that this was the group of people I wanted to work with, because I just love it. So yeah, thank you for that. That was really good.
Would you say during lockdown it's made the job harder or easier?
Well, I've got quite a different job to a lot of the other people here, in that my work before lockdown was a lot of training. So I was traveling and delivering training. So all of that had to be cancelled, and that's why I had this opportunity, because I've been at home and I thought, well, this is the time to get NAC set up, because we've been able to do that all from home, and I've worked from my office at home, and the other people that I've been able to work with and consult with, like Sally, that I've been able to contact her and Joe, because we've got Zoom. So that's been a really good use, actually, of the way that we're now all communicating more. So we've been able to bring together people from all over the country, but also I've got colleagues in Australia and South Africa who've been involved in this project as well. And I think that wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for lockdown and for being able to use Zoom. But of course, on the whole, for most people, the pandemic has been a terrible time, and there's been an awful lot of suffering. And that's part of what we want to do with NAC is help people to get through that a little bit more easily by giving them practical suggestions on things they can do to help support people's mental health.
And that's the bit that we loved about your site, Julie, is that you've got the theory around neuroscience and stuff, but making it something really usable for people, isn't it? So when you were reading that, I presume what you saw, and I'm feeding you, it was a real lack in terms of easily accessible resources and information for people like us, direct support workers, to use. Because we still go around the country's paradigm. People say, oh, people with complex needs, you can't do that, because rather than you can if you learn how to explore and do stuff. So was that part of what you did? You were sort of looking to see what was out there that was bringing to life that neuroscience research and the factual stuff. So
well, my experience is that there is good work going on out there, but it's in kind of pockets, and also that those people, for example, there's lots of companies that promote arts in learning disabilities that exist, but there's lots of people who are doing kind of dance work or a whole range of activities, but they're not necessarily able to show that these do have mental health benefits in the same way. So that's one of the things that NAC does, is actually bring together all of the fantastic work that is and give that and be able to show people literally on the website there's information about the evidence base that backs up all of these wonderful things that people are already out there doing. So it's kind of it's bringing a lot of that together. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
I think what's great is that it kind of brings it, like you say, into one place. So you're maybe, you know, as a supporter, you maybe don't know where, or you maybe don't have the time to kind of go and find out, you know, where the art stuff is, where the food stuff is, and the music stuff is. So, you know, that takes time to kind of research that. So to have it all in one space and just to be able to kind of click through, and like you were saying about creating collections of different things, resources that you can use, that must be really helpful, I think.
Well, I hope so. We'll have to wait and see what the feedback is, but I mean, that's the idea. And partly the idea is actually to make it quite fun to use, because the resource is, at the moment, it's in the website. We want to expand and extend our services beyond that and provide training and so on as well. But at the moment, the resources are on the website. So it's a place that we want people to want to go back to, because they're going to have to keep consulting. Let's look at new guidance and even literally use it directly to implement from. So I felt like, well, it needs a nice place to go to. So I started researching websites and looked for the ones that I actually enjoyed visiting that made me feel good. And that was one of the inspirations for how I designed the website. So, and then the bit about creating collections, of course, there's a practicality there about, I mean, at the moment, we've only got about 34 pieces of guidance. So it's quite easy to navigate through those. But we're adding at least one per week. So you can see, you know, by the end of a year, we're going to have nearly 100 pieces of guidance. So then at that point, it's going to be more difficult to keep track of those. So that's why we thought, well, it's a good idea if you can add collections, put your favourites into a saved folder so that you can easily go back to them and find them. That would be a really useful thing to do, but fun thing to do as well. And that's part of the idea, really. We care about everybody's mental health, and it's no you know, the people who we have to rely on to provide good mental well-being support to people with severe learning disabilities are the people who are caring and educating those people. So we need to look after their mental health first. That's got to be number one. I think we'll come back to later in the top tips, won't we?
No, absolutely. Do you want to show us around the website, do a little guided tour?
I'm happy to, absolutely. Let's.
And that, Julie, brings to life, what do you mean by guidance? When you're saying guidance, so you'll show us in the website now, won't you? And this is what I think people here will love, is that practical. Let's have a look at it and see how we can use it. Katie going, yes.
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the, honestly, I think it's genius, because I mean, support, anybody that provides direct support, they're very busy, they're very stretched, you know, often, you know, running from home to work, even if they're not working with lots of different people. So to have that collection together, so it's not going to get lost, it's not a piece of paper, you don't have to start scrolling through websites, it's all there in one place. So you can, the accessibility, I think, is fantastic. So if you're working with somebody, you think, oh, I really think this might work, and wonder what, you know, am I going to be contravening any kind of, you know, any kind of laws of good practice? You can just quickly tap into a phone. We've all got our phones there, and it's so accessible. I think it's great. And again, you know, we can, in a way, Julie, you're preaching to the converted here, aren't you? But you know, if we are going to be trying to encourage other people to get on board with any kind of interactions in this way, whether it's intensive interaction or, you know, use of all this lovely sensory, the sensory ideas, we've got it there to say, look, this is not just my crazy idea. You know, this is where it says it's a really good thing to do, you know. So I just think it's so helpful to have that guidance there. So we could have, if we had a visit from somebody who wasn't as enlightened, you know, which has happened in the past, you know, not everyone is as forward thinking as we might be collectively. And they say, well, you know, why are you doing that? You know, why are you using feathers with this man? What are you doing? You know, we can say, well, actually, this is why we're doing it. and this is the rationale behind that, and it's just all there. I think it's great.
Right. Well, Julie, I've now given you co-host. You can share your screen now, hopefully, and we'll have a look at the website together.
Okay, so is that working? Can you see the
Yes.
Yeah.
Super. Okay, so I think some of you have probably had a look at this before, but also we'll whiz round and you can ask questions as we go through as well. Homepage, I think that this comes back to what I said earlier on about what I like about websites is being able to open one and feel like it's almost transported me to another place that's beautiful to be. One of the things I've tried to do though with the selection of photographs is think about what actually could be achievable for somebody with a profound learning disability. So there was no point in having pictures of up on top of hilltops and things. Not impossible, but difficult to get someone who might be quite reliant on wheelchairs, etc. Whereas this path, we could support somebody with a profound learning and physical disability to access this place. The website is hopefully set out quite simply to use. One of the things that we've tried to be really careful to do is point people directly to the guidance, which is why this is what you see on the homepage. You don't need to read the research evidence that backs this up. It's there if you need it, and it's there if you're interested, but you can just dive straight into the nitty-gritty of what do we actually need to do. And again, I think that's the bit that's often missing. There is research out there on mental health and learning disabilities, and we know that it's an area of concern, that there's a higher proportion of people with learning disabilities who have mental health problems. And we particularly know that for those with severe and profound learning disabilities, that rate goes up even higher. But often then what people are struggling to put out there is, well, what do we actually do about that? You know, we know it exists, we know it's a problem, but how are we going to attend to those difficulties? So this takes you straight to the practical, what can you actually do? And again, it's supposed to be a bit of fun really and enjoyable to use. You can select any of these circles and it takes you to a page that gives you the guidance on that area. So who wants to pick a category that we can go to? Pick a category, any category.
Mindfulness.
Mindfulness, lovely. Thank you very much, Karen. Let's go to mindfulness. So we click on mindfulness and that takes you to a page which is all about mindfulness. But the first thing again you see is the actual guidance. So we're gonna have a look at some of that in a moment. But on this page as well, you will see some of the evidence that backs up why we know that mindfulness practice can be beneficial to our mental health. This research isn't specific to people with learning disabilities. But my argument and my colleagues' argument is, why should it be people are people? If we know that these things are good for all of us, then they're good for all of us. That doesn't mean to say we don't need more research. Of course we do. But I think this is about saying, what do we know now? And how can we provide the best possible care and support given what we know now? That's all we can do, isn't it? We can only do the best we can with what we know at the moment. So just before we do dive in, I'm going to have a look at the bubbles for wellbeing in a moment, but this principles underpinning all guidance, that should draw your eye as well, because we really want people to be using this guidance carefully and cautiously and thinking about all aspects of good practice and all aspects of health and safety. There has to be a balance here between us telling you exactly what to do and you coming in to use the guidance as someone who's already received training and understands the person you're supporting to know how to put this into practice safely and well and in a way that meets that person's best interests. But also we want to provide you some guidance to support you to do that as well. So we'll have a quick look here, shall we, and just so you can see. So
Julie, can I just ask you, the guidance that's on the website, is that something that you write, or is that from different experts within different?
Yes, a variety. So there's contributions from a whole range of professionals and people who are experts by experience. So we have a panel of people who check the guidance. We've got a panel of psychologists, speech and language therapist, occupational therapist and physiotherapist, and myself as a learning disability nurse. So we check the guidance, but anybody can contribute. So it could be that you're a parent and you've got some really great tips on activities and things you can do, strategies to support mental health. We would really love to receive those as well. So you don't need to have any sort of level of professional qualification to contribute guidance, because we've got that covered within NAC. So I've written some of the guidance, but most of it's been contributed by a whole range of people who've all been so keen to get on board, because everybody knows the value and the importance of supporting mental health, especially at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, good question though, thank you. So I think the most important thing for me on this page is the issue of consent, and how do we make sure that what we're offering to somebody is what they want, so, and what they're accepting. We know that a lot of the people who this website is about won't be able to give informed consent because of the level of their intellectual disability and also the communication difficulties they have. So we need to be working in a best practice way that thinks about their best interest. And I really love this idea of thinking about assent, so thinking about how is somebody actually showing us that they are agreeing and approving of what's happening moment by moment. So that's kind of woven throughout the website, both on this page, and we refer to it a lot in the guidance as well, especially the ones that maybe involve touch, or for example, one of them is about a hand massage. You know, we really want to make sure that support staff out there are thinking about, does that person actually like this? Do they want it? Are they showing us no in any way? And if they're showing us no, we need to respect that. Yeah. So there's all sorts on this page, but that's flagged up throughout the website. So if we go back to mindfulness, and let's have a look at a couple. We'll start with the bubbles. So this one is really well grounded in the research evidence. Someone called Stephen Porges, he talks a lot about the importance of the breath and breathing for our well-being, physical and mental, and things like blowing bubbles are really good, because when we blow bubbles, we're having to give a longer out breath, and that's very regulating, very calming for our system. Some people with severe and profound learning disabilities won't be able to blow bubbles, but there's still many things that we can do with bubbles to support mental well-being. So within this guidance, you've got stuff about making the bubbles, of course, or you can buy them, of course, and then there's guidance on what you would do if the person is able to blow bubbles themselves, or how you'd use bubbles if the person can't blow them themselves, but you can use them, but you blow the bubbles, and there's other ways you can facilitate those to be a really positive well-being experience for them. So we've tried to make it step by step and try to keep it fairly brief, but inevitably we need to put enough detail in there, because when you're working with people with severe and profound learning disabilities, it's all about the detail, isn't it? That's, you know, it's so important. So so that's a balance, and that's something we want to know if we've got right. We need to get feedback from people to know, is the level of guidance we're providing right? Do you need more? Is it too long? And also, really crucially, do you need video guidance to back this up? That's one of my key questions at the moment, because I'm currently looking for funding to go forward with us as an organisation, and I think it would be really beneficial for almost all of the pieces of guidance to have a video that you as a facilitator could access that shows you how to facilitate these experiences as well, because some people don't learn well through reading, do they? It's not the way that we all kind of access information. So that'll be interesting to see. So that's one example, and then if I take you to just to see another one, because this is a piece of guidance that does have video backup. So this is lovely Amber, and she has written this piece of guidance on the supported body scan. So this is something that is quite a common practice within mindfulness, but usually it would be done by somebody speaking. So you'd have someone speaking and taking you through your own body to be able to focus on different parts of your body. So you might start at the feet, and that person would be speaking and encouraging you to focus on your toes and then your feet and your legs. And it's very calming, can be a very calming activity to do. But for somebody who can't understand those words, what Amber's done is think about, well, could we do this through using touch? So she's used touch to help somebody to go through that exact same process, and she's called it a supported body scan, which I think is lovely. And again, step by step, but also you can link to a YouTube video which shows Amber actually delivering that experience to someone as well. So I think that's going to be really helpful.
Julie?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch that, Sally.
Look at the video, just be fun to see. Because what do people think? Do you think people think videos would be helpful?
Yeah.
I think what I'll do is I'll leave the video there for people to see. I haven't got that sort of lined up on YouTube to see, so but do have a look at if you go through the mindfulness category, you'll find the supported body scan, and then through that it links to the video. And yeah, let us know how you find that. That'd be good. So any other thoughts, questions at this time before I show you the collections function.
I've got one.
Go on, Victoria.
So are we talking about people who have severe learning disabilities, or can it be both?
It is designed for people with more severe and profound learning disabilities. So really for people who don't use speech to communicate, and people who have quite a severe intellectual cognitive capacity as well. So the people who need support with almost all aspects of their daily life. They need support 24 hours a day often.
Yeah.
So, but having said that, there's many activities on here that I do myself. So again, it is just about
like thinking about it, because like I've got a learning disability, mine's moderate, but I have a mental health as well. And I find like stuff like hand massages actually do help, like calm down and stuff. But
absolutely.
But talking about that, because of COVID-19, you have to keep 2 meters.
Yeah, that's so tough, isn't it?
So my support workers could basically give me a hand massage, but they'll have to like put a fork or something at the end of a stick. And there's your hand massage.
It's not going to work, is it?
I can imagine my support workers doing that. There's your hand massage.
So yeah, I mean, when you're allowed to do that again, do have a look at the touch category, because in here, maybe they've already know exactly how to do a hand massage, but there is some guidance on a hand massage, which might give them some more tips about different ways to do it. And you can be great if you could let us know how you find that. If you do try it out at some point in the future, you get back to us and let us know how it went. That would be really fantastic.
Could you send me the link to the website so I can check it out?
We'll definitely share it with you, Victoria.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm just
going to Julie, things like that sort of hand massage and so on, knowing about your hands, aren't your hands a bit like a map to different parts of your body?
I think that, to be honest, that's beyond my level of knowledge. I didn't write the hand massage guidance on my own. I wrote it with somebody else actually. So yeah, we've stuck to, this is very gentle, very simple. This is not therapy. We're not training people to be therapists. So it's about just using ordinary, normal human touch in a very non-invasive way, and in a way that respects what somebody's telling us in terms of what they want. But we know that just simple touch has a really positive impact on our well-being, which is one of the reasons why many people are finding this period of the pandemic so difficult. It's because many people are touch starved at the moment, and that's a real phenomenon. Infants will die if they're not touched. It's that important. So but like I said, this is more about social touch and ordinary human touch, rather than getting into the kind of deep sort of therapeutic ideas about
Can I just check as well, because I think I'm struggling with the term guidance, I realise now. So guidance, so if I looked at that, I don't know what other people think, but in what you're saying is the guidance there's different activities you can do with people, different things you can do with people. So you're guiding us through how to do that, as opposed to a policy and guidance. So I think that's what I'm struggling. So what you're saying there is the guidance is, here are some things you can do with people. We're going to guide you through how to do that as effectively, as well, and as safely as possible. And each of your guidances follows through the same structure. Yes, it gives you, if you go down a bit on that hand massage, it'll guide you through what you need, guidance and instructions. So that's all, each one of those will have that,
Absolutely. I think if it weren't that we have a very wide range of types of experiences that we're giving guidance on. If they were all more like a hand massage, maybe we could have called them activities.
They're not activities, are they?
They're not activities, and some of the guidance is on how to have better interactions with someone. So it's not a sort of they're not all about a discrete activity, but those kind of questions we've tried to answer in this section, I hope. So we have talked here about what do we mean by guidance? It's a how-to guide designed to enable anyone involved in care to facilitate emotionally beneficial experiences. So they're really experiences, but they're not really experiences, because we're actually having to speak to the carer. So it's guidance on how to facilitate an experience.
Well, I'd be curious to know from the Great Support Movement whether, if they were looking at that website, would they know where to go for the how-tos? So I don't know what anybody thinks now. So if it says guidance, would that look like something you want to click to find out the how-to? Because what you've got there is beautiful, that detail. And that's the stuff we really want. Does anyone else have a view on that? Is this just me getting hung up on a word there? I'm trying to think how support workers maximise the use of this and get in there, because that's what Julie wants to know as well.
I think Sally.
Sorry?
I think it's you, Sally. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I can't click on it actually now. I'm trying to click on the. It's on my screen, but it's a yeah. I suppose if once you've got into looking at the website, and if you've explored that website, you will see what it means. And I think we need to encourage people to look at it and explore it themselves.
Yes.
I think it's a really good point, and it's something we had a lot of conversations on how we describe that. If in an ideal world we would describe them as experiences, but I was keen not to call them experiences because I think that's overstating what we do. We're not providing the experience, you provide the experience by following the guidance, and that to me that's a really important distinction, because it's not, I'm not doing this and you're the ones doing this, and it's trying to empower you to be the facilitator of the experience. I think there's an issue of kind of sort of education and people getting used to using the website, but equally if anyone's got a better name, a better word for guidance, I am all ears. I would love to.
It's funny, I'm not for shortcuts or too much spoon feeding, but I want people to see your content there, and that's the bit. I want them to get to that bit and use it and feed back to you. So yeah.
Well, I'm kind of going on the basis that if I
for now. Katie says it's just me. I'll go with that.
Well, I'm hoping that people. I remember when the website was in development. Obviously, these weren't clickable. It was so frustrating because you get your mouse on that and you just want to click on it. So that's my hope that people will want to click.
I think that is so inviting.
Yes, I think that's, and I think I really like your idea, and I know it would be quite costly and timely to do, but the idea of little short videos, because I think like you were saying about the reading, I think some people prefer learning in a different way, so having those short videos would be really lovely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
I guess
can I ask you? Sorry, go on, Karen.
I was just going to say I've kind of dipped into your webpage a little bit, and I thought it was really, really amazing.
Oh, thank you.
What I can't remember is, for instance, if you're doing I don't know, a sensory session, does it kind of, I can't remember if it kind of gives you tips on what to look out for to show that people are enjoying it and that people aren't enjoying it.
Yeah,
I know, because I've got a long background with learning disabilities, but obviously not everybody's as experienced. And are there some tips to kind of say, well, that might indicate that person doesn't like it, or that might indicate they really do?
Yeah, and that's so individual, isn't it? So individual person. So I think that we would probably refer you back to the the principles. So here there's some information about communication and the importance of that, and we're trying in the website as well to really be clear that this website can't be the be all and end all. People should receive training as well, that's really important. This is kind of a first step, but really to be an effective facilitator we need people to receive the proper training, which they should receive, because it's a highly skilled job that you're doing. It's a really skilled role, and that's that. I was delighted when the report came out. That was amazing, because that's just, I bang on about that all the time. And when people say I'm just a support worker, I'm just a teaching assistant, they're some of the most skilled jobs that we do. And exactly what you've just said, that that whole area of being able to interpret someone's communication and know what someone likes takes real finely tuned in observation. So yes, we have got some tips on the website on how to do that, but really it's always going to come back to needing to get to know that individual and work in a very person-centered way with that person. So yeah, I think it's in the training.
I'm just going to say, to anyone that's listening to this, the report you referred to then is "Don't ever call us unskilled again."
Yeah, that's the one. That's exactly the one.
Don't ever call us unskilled again.
Absolutely, yeah.
We're so skilled. Yes.
Yeah, so skilled, and therefore should be receiving the correct training that goes along with a very, very skilled role. A lot of people can do a lot of this stuff very intuitively, but I still firmly believe that I know I've benefited from all of the training I've ever received, and it's something I'm working with a number of organisations to try to push this forward. So I've got a few meetings scheduled to talk to them about how this type of training, about things like how do we support people to understand communication and support their mental health, becomes more core to what we're doing.
So you were going to take us to the I can't see what it's called again now, I've forgotten. Jo, the collections thing.
Yes, let's do that, shall we? No one's getting that. So I've already signed in. If you haven't already created an account, you can create an account very easily. All you need to do is use your email address and a username. You don't need to give the name of the people or the person that you're supporting. So in that sense, it's fully anonymous, but you do need to give your own details to create an account. And once you've done that, you can simply click on My Collections, and that takes you to this page, which enables you to create collections for the person or people that you're supporting. So just to give you a little demo, I'll create a collection. I'll create a collection for myself, and you click on Create Collection, and then you get to choose a picture identifier from a selection that the website gives you. Again, the reason for this is that we don't want you putting the names of the person you're supporting or the people you're supporting in here, because at the moment we don't have the functionality to ensure GDPR data protection. That will come in the future, but we need more funding for that as well. So I'm going to make a collection for myself, and I'm going to choose, I like a hummingbird, so I think for me, I'm going to pick a hummingbird to make a collection of experiences for myself. You can create up to eight collections. If you're supporting more than one person, each person can have their own collection. And then in order to have a browse of what guidance I might want to add to that, I think for me, I really do quite like art and creativity, and I'd quite like to have a go at this sticky back plastic nature art. So I'm going to add that one to my collection. And it's this one I want to add it to, because that's the hummingbird collection I've just created for myself. And there you can see it's ticked it. So that's gone into my collection. And I think it was, as Victoria was saying, I also like the idea of a hand massage. So I think for me, I'm going to add the hand massage to my collection as well.
Julie, if Katie is working with her team, with the same person, can they create a collection that they can all access?
No, only by using the same login details. So if you were to give your own email address and password, then yes, you could, but it's all done by your own personal email. Again, that's the sort of thing we need feedback on, because if that's a function that staff need to have, then that's something we can work on. But we need the evidence from you to be able to say to the funders, people are telling us we need this, and then we can try to provide that. So I'm just gonna finish demoing this, and then I'll come back to you for questions. So I'm going to just add one more. Or nature, definitely for me, walking in nature is really something that I find useful. So I'm going to add this mindful nature walk to my collection as well, into the hummingbird collection. And then that's all done. So then I can go to my collections and find my hummingbird collection and click on view collection. And then there's all of my pieces of guidance and experiences that I wanted to add to my collection. So that means next time I log back in and I'm thinking, right, what do I want to do to support my mental well-being this day? I can come back to this page and find like a menu of ideas. And one day a gentle hand massage might be the right thing. Another day I might need to be active, and therefore let's get out on a walk and be more active. We need to tune into the people to work out what they need each day and each time. I think there's a question.
Karen.
Sorry, it's me again.
No, good. Yeah, with that question.
Going back to what Katie was saying about whether people could log in as kind of a team, it would be really nice if there could be something where you could just add some really basic notes.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if as a team we were all doing a hand massage, and you noted a particular reaction, or somebody liked a particular smell and didn't like another one, obviously with that, keeping it without mentioning names, it would be really useful to just be able to maybe just add a couple of notes.
Absolutely, that's a great idea. Thank you. Yeah, I've written that down. Yeah, super.
That's so good, that element as well, isn't it? Just be able to put stuff in one place for an individual. All right,
yeah, and just return back to it. That's really great. Has anyone else got any questions?
Oh, I've got a question.
Go on, Victoria.
Mr. Richards loves his nature walks.
I do.
That made me think of Mr. Richards doing his national walks, because I find walking's pretty good at the moment. Like, I've been walking. I would definitely try out that one. Like, look at Love to do with walking.
It is so helpful, isn't it, for our mental health? And it's those kind of things that sometimes get missed when we're thinking about those with more profound disabilities, that, you know, we sort of think, well, if that works for us, why wouldn't it also work for somebody, maybe even if they're in a wheelchair? You know, that process of getting out into nature, being out in the fresh air is so beneficial. Sometimes we look for the more complicated solutions, don't we? And actually be a bit more simple, like getting out.
Yeah, it's interesting, Julie. I've had lots of debates with people over the decades about sensory rooms, and you know how there's a real danger sometimes they use in some services places to put people rather than really skillful use of sensory rooms. And actually the world is a very sensory place, isn't it? Yeah. So going for a walk in the wind or the rain and listening to the noises and seeing the birds and listening to the cars and the buses, I live in London, and the trains, all the noise, all of that is sensory, isn't it? And figuring out what works for people. So it's interesting, but we hear so much in our work, and I'm sure others will agree that, you know, well, they can't understand, therefore we won't. And what you're saying is there's so much we can do, isn't there, to truly engage with human beings and discover. Yeah.
Definitely. But the reality is that most of the guidance out there, and there's loads at the moment on NHS websites and even on learning disability websites, is written for people who can use speech and who do have a level of intellectual and cognitive ability, that it means that people with more severe disabilities are excluded from being able to access those experiences, or carers are expected to translate those into things that do work. And that's the bit that we try to do for you, you know, translate it for you into something that works.
That's great. I'm just aware that time is moving on, and you very kindly sent us 5 top tips which we like to close our.
Katie had a hand up there, Joe.
Oh, sorry.
I did. Well, it was just a little, in our experience, warning against team collections, you know, or just a health warning about that. Gareth particularly, he likes to do different things with different people and will respond very, very differently to the person, not the experience, I see you, or activity. So, you know, I'm not saying that wouldn't be helpful or wouldn't work for some people, but just again, at the back of your mind to remember that just because, you know, somebody enjoys doing such a thing with one person doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get the same experience with another.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's there somewhere in the site. I think on that page about how to use the guidance, that issue of think about, actually, is it the relationship or is it the activity, and also is it going to be different with different people? Yeah, thank you, Katie. That's a really good point.
Okay, so do you want to go through your top tips?
Yeah, sure. So number 1 has to be look after your own mental well-being. I don't subscribe to this idea that we should just shut our own emotions, thoughts, experiences out when we come to work. I think we should be aware of them. That's the most important thing. And if you've had a bad day, you've had a bad week, then that's who you are in that moment, and trying to cover that up is not always, I don't believe, the right thing to do. So be aware of it, share it with your colleagues where you can, and look after yourself. You're going to be in a much better position to support someone else's mental well-being when you're taking care of your own. Yeah. And we've got some ideas there for how to do that. It was so exciting. Literally, when I was setting up NAC, I found this organisation called Sidekick, looked at what they were doing, and they're almost doing exactly the same thing that NAC's doing, but not for people with learning disabilities. So it allows you to almost create collections of experiences that you can access to support your mental health, and along the same lines of, it's not one solution, you need a whole range of ideas, a whole range of different things that you can access at different times. Very much about that idea of integrity and caring for all of our mental health. So I do urge you to have a look at that Sidekick website, and if you're sort of creating those collections for the people you support and you want to do one for yourself, then Sidekick's the place to go and do that.
Right, thank you.
So there's going to be more, but at the moment, like I said, we've got a good sort of 30+ pieces of guidance on there. So which ones do you choose? Well, I would say choose the ones that both you think you're going to like, but also the person that you support. So don't pick one. So for me, for example, I'm not so good with music, and I would probably feel a little bit shy to do some of the music experiences and facilitate those. So I would suggest maybe one of my colleagues did those, and that I chose ones maybe that were more suited to what I would enjoy and feel comfortable with. So it's about a joint experience. That person who's on the receiving end of the experience is reliant on you to facilitate it for them. So your enjoyment of it and comfort with it, I think, is going to be really important. So pick the ones that you're both going to enjoy. And have fun creating the collection. So you've just seen how to do that. It's really easy. It's just going to save you time. And on those days where you're feeling a bit lost, or what do we do today, or I'm noticing actually that person isn't seeming to feel too great today, I really want to nurture their well-being, you can go back to the collection you've created, and you've got an immediately accessible menu of ideas to choose from and try out. Yeah, it's like we said it a bit earlier, didn't we? The detail, those little things are so important. And I think the reason I wanted to put this one in was just because, like I said earlier, we kind of tend to think that we need to have some big fancy solution to some problems, but your impact of just being there and being a kind, compassionate person, smiling when it's right to smile, giving comfort when it's right to give comfort, they're hugely beneficial. And I think if we reflect on our own lives, we can see that and we can feel that. So why wouldn't that be the same for someone with a learning disability? These experiences that we've provided you guidance on are pretty much only going to be as good as you facilitate them to be. So you can imagine if you're supporting someone to do an art activity but you're miserable through the whole thing, that's probably not going to go so well. But if you're really loving it too, and if you're showing that person through your body language and your smiles and the tone of your voice, then that's going to be a really important part of supporting their mental well-being too. And of course, this website is not a solution for people's mental health problems. If someone is mentally ill, if they're showing signs of mental distress that are beyond the ordinary everyday ups and downs, then you must get help for it through the correct avenues. And usually that would start with the GP. Yeah, this is not a kind of the be all and end all. This is about promoting positive mental health, not about dealing with mental illness. When that occurs, it needs to be addressed properly for yourself as well, of course, and your colleagues.
Yes. Any questions, anybody? Clapping from Victoria.
Oh.
You know, I'm going to give you my favourite quote I use at work to cheer everybody up, you know. It is, when life gives you lemons, you eat the bloody lemons.
That's the best version I've heard.
It's Kmart quote at work. Bloody lemons when you need the lemons.
Thanks, Victoria.
Julie, just massive thank you for today. I'm thinking, how can we help you get word out about the website, because people need to know about it. How can we help with that?
Yeah, I mean, share through your networks by all means. It's a freely accessible resource, so of course the more people who can benefit from it, the better, and the more feedback we get, the more we can develop what we're offering. So do feel free to share. Absolutely.
Okay.
And you've got whether we should mention funding, but just in case people have connections, how are you funding it, and you're looking for more funding? But
we're looking for funding. We've had no funding yet. We've done it purely through goodwill.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Yeah. So this is really just the start, to be honest. But it felt like the right way around to do things. That we've been able to, again, because of lockdown, we've been able to actually put this together, and this was a good place to start. And now we can start getting the feedback from people that will help us to get that funding. So we're confident. But yes, any contacts and connections would be really appreciated.
Paul, were you going to say something? I thought
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get sharing it around, and
yeah, we will be doing it on our social media platforms,
Perfect. That's a great idea, Victoria. Yes, social media, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a familiar story of the Great Support Movement, because we spotted a need. There was a massive gap when we did an online search. We couldn't see anything, and then we just did it without funding. And then it is just doing what you believe in, isn't it? Yeah. And just hoping stuff will follow. But I think this resource, I mean, Katie works with people with complex needs much more than I do on a daily basis. Katie does, but there is a real lack. It's giving people the confidence and resources and the skills. But there's some really important messages in there as well about integrity and values that underpin it all, aren't there? You know, so it's really important.
Yeah, definitely. And the training, that would be really helpful as well, to tell us what kind of training you need. The next year we'll use to design some training programs. So any ideas about what needs to be a part of those training courses, and also the practicalities of how we run them, how we deliver them, all of that would be really helpful.
Great, okay.
It's an opportunity for you to tell us what do you need, and we'll try and deliver it. That's our challenge.
Great, thank you. Okay, so just before we finish, just wanted to let you know that on the 17th of December, we've got our next webinar, which is a Christmas workshop celebrating you as support workers. And just to make sure you've got in your diary the 21st of January, which is trying to kind of inject a bit of energy with Flourishing Lives in 2021 with Sarah Ryan.
So Sarah Ryan, so sorry Joe, butted in, but we're involved with Sarah on this research project, Oxford University. So, and actually within the proposal for this research project, the Great Support movement is there built in. So it's how we work alongside people flourishing lives. So it is an exciting start to the year, as Joe says, but also we'll link into a research project that we're working with Sarah and her team at Oxford on. So that'll be exciting as well.
Lovely. Well, thank you all for coming along, giving up your hour. Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for putting your passion into something that's, you know, what a cracking start to it, and may the money come rolling in now.
Well, yeah, and the you know, the proof is going to be in how much it affects people's lives. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So money, yes, but more stories. Stories of its effectiveness is what we really want.
Yeah.
So thank you, thanks everybody, thanks for your time and the opportunity. It's been really lovely to speak to you all.
Oh.
Yeah, great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Very much, everyone.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Nice to see everyone.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.